What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it looks like next week we are going to be getting some pretty big updates that are actually going to have some relatively large gameplay changes. This is something we've been waiting for quite some time, especially for multiplayer. They have been making a fair number of gameplay tweaks to Blackout, but there's also a bunch of changes coming to Blackout, and so far I'm liking the looks of a lot of these. Now before we get into this, I just wanted to give you guys one last heads up that I partnered with Control Freak and we are doing a giveaway for a custom PS4 Pro as well as tons of other gaming accessories. This giveaway will be ending tomorrow, so make sure you get yourself entered. I will leave a link to that giveaway down below. So the first thing to point out is it looks like they're going to be spreading out these updates throughout the week next week. So we'll probably get a decently large download on Tuesday, just like we usually do, like a 10 gig or so update. And with that, we will receive some of these changes, and then some more of them will end up coming throughout the week. Now, while I did say there will be multiplayer changes, I'm going to start it off with the Blackout changes that we're going to be seeing with this. And first up, we're going to see some adjustments to armor. What they're going to be doing to armor in Blackout is they're going to reduce the damage protection for armor across the board. So this is going to include level 1, level 2, and level 3 armor. It's going to essentially just let more damage through when you shoot somebody that has that armor. In addition to that, level 3 armor will no longer include additional damage protection against explosives and melee attacks. So as it is right now, if you throw a nade at somebody that has level 3 armor, it won't hurt them as bad as somebody with level 1 or level 2 armor. With this update, they are removing that ability, which I personally don't think was a major issue with level 3. I think level 3 armor had a few different issues, but in either case, that's what we are going to see next week. And also with level 3 armor, they are going to increase the number of armor plates that you need in order to fully repair a level 3 armor. So these seem like pretty good updates to the armor. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. I'm a little bit worried that level 1 armor is going to be basically useless after this if they're going to reduce the effectiveness of that. Personally, what I would have liked to see done is simply make level 3 armor the same as level 2 armor, except with head protection. Instead, it seems like they're nerfing armor across the board, and I really feel like level 1 and level 2 armor were in a pretty good place. That's just my opinion on that though. Of course, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Next up, we're going to have a look at concussion grenades. They are going to be nerfing concussion grenades in Blackout with this next update, and this is quite exciting. Concussions are something that I feel are just too powerful and leave you helpless in Blackout. Yes, there are counters like Trophy System or Reinforced, but many games, even if you're actively searching for these items, you will never find them, and also they are very situational, so you might not have them activated at the time that that concussion comes in. So what they're going to be doing to the concussion is they're going to reduce the duration of effect that it will have on you. They will also be decreasing the radius at which it will affect you, so you have to be a lot more accurate with your throw with a concussion grenade. And also, it looks like they're going to be reducing the throw distance for the concussion. So they'll be more so used in close quarter situations. You can't toss it super far and completely lock somebody in place so you can close the distance and get the kill on them. In addition to that, with concussion grenades, they did also state that there will now be more options to outplay attackers when you're hit by a concussion grenade. We don't know exactly what this means. Perhaps that means they will allow us to finally aim down sight while we're stunned or something like that, while still keeping our aim really slow and kind of locking us in place. That would at least give us some chance to fight back if we're already looking in the direction that the enemy's coming from. But with that one, we really don't know exactly what that means, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the update next week. Now, the final gameplay related tuning that they're going to be doing to Blackout next week is they're going to be nerfing cluster grenades a little bit. And what they're going to be doing is, first up, increasing the time to detonate on the cluster grenades. So when you throw one, it's going to take a little bit longer for that initial explosion to happen, which will theoretically give people a bit more time to get out of the way when somebody throws a cluster at them. And I think this is actually a really good change. I don't think cluster grenades were incredibly overpowered or anything. Generally, they were pretty easy to see coming and avoid. But having just a little bit of extra time to get out of there, I think is a welcome change as well. It's still going to be really effective for forcing somebody out of cover so you can shoot them. And if they refuse to leave the cover, then it's going to blow up and kill them. The second change that they are going to be making to the cluster grenade is the mini clusters. So after the initial explosion, you have all of the mini grenades that pop out. What they're going to be doing to those is reducing the amount of damage that they'll deal to somebody. I also think this is going to be a good change. I think that initial explosion should be the main damage dealer. That should be the thing that has that ability to get like a one-hit kill on somebody. Whereas the mini clusters, I think it should more so just deal some damage to you, and therefore it still gives a leg up to that player that hit you with the mini cluster grenades, but it won't like immediately kill you. Or in a lot of situations, if you're playing duos and quads, I've run into this fairly often. If you die from the initial explosion from the cluster, hopefully these mini cluster grenades can't also finish you off, from the same cluster grenade. I find that to be a little bit frustrating in duos and quads because none of the other equipment has that ability to not only down but also finish off an enemy. So that's it for the gameplay related tuning that's coming to Blackout, but we're also going to be seeing a new limited time mode that'll come next week on PlayStation and then the week after on Xbox and PC. And with this, it's called Ambush. And Ambush sounds pretty interesting. With this, only sniper rifles and launchers will be spawning on the ground, and you also have the ability to use melee attacks. So it's basically a sniper-only game mode, and also once the circle starts moving at the beginning of the game, it doesn't stop moving until you get to the end. So it's going to be a fairly fast-paced sort of a game, a great way to practice the sniping skills, and I'm actually really looking forward to this one as a limited time mode, and I'm sure there's a ton of other people that are feeling the same way. Something else they're going to be doing with Blackout that won't apply to most of you watching this video, but for those people that are in the lower population areas like South America and South Africa, you've probably noticed that you'll only have access to play one of the Blackout playlists. You can't choose between solos, duos, and quads. You only get one choice, and I think it's generally quads that you have to choose from. The reason for this is apparently the player population in those areas isn't high enough to quickly fill a full game in all three of those modes, and therefore you would run into a lot of situations where you're just stuck in that pre-game staging area and you would actually never get into a game, or it would take you way too long to be able to actually get a game started. So to alleviate this a little bit, what they're going to be doing is rotating featured playlists in for these players. It's not going to completely solve that issue for them. It's not going to open up a ton of other playlists, but it will give those players the opportunity to play some featured game modes, which I think is a step in the right direction. I think another thing that could potentially be done, if this is viable within Blackout, I'm not too sure if they can make this happen, is why not just make it so you start with fewer players and the circle has already collapsed to a certain extent. So you drop in within that circle and then you start a game within a smaller area on the map with fewer players. I think that could potentially work as well, as long as it's technically viable. I'm not 100% sure, but it does kind of suck for those people that are living in those regions. Finally, for Blackout, next week we are going to be getting camo progression for Blackout. So they're going to have a whole new section for camos in Blackout, and you can work in Blackout to unlock these camos. This one looks like it's going to be coming a little bit later next week, so it's not necessarily going to be coming right when you download the big title update, but maybe a couple days later. And this is quite exciting as well. It's going to add that extra layer of camo progression for Blackout, so you'll actually be interested in picking up various weapons that you may not have considered using before. And I am quite excited to see how they end up laying this out and how it ends up working. So as you can see, once again, Blackout is getting a lot of love in this update that's coming next week. It seems like Treyarch's really focusing most of their attention on that mode, but we do also have confirmation that some multiplayer changes are finally coming next week. It's been, I think, almost 2 months since we've seen any significant weapon balancing changes within multiplayer, and it was confirmed on Twitter by Tony Flame, which is one of the developers that is mainly responsible for multiplayer, that there will be weapon balancing changes coming with next week's update. Now, he did go on to specify that there will be some changes coming to unique population slices like hardcore and PC, so it looks like we're going to see some PC specific balancing and also some hardcore specific balancing. Also, some attachments look like they may be changing a little bit, and also he did mention snipers will have some adjustments coming as well, and I'm not too sure what that's going to entail, if there's going to be mainly buffs to snipers or nerfs to snipers. I do feel like the Outlaw will probably get some sort of a buff. I don't know if they'll end up nerfing the Paladin or just leaving that as is, and really I just don't know where the sniper rifles currently stand when it comes to the developers, if they think they're too powerful or not powerful enough in their current state. In either case, it is really exciting to see that we're finally going to be seeing some love for multiplayer that will actually affect the gameplay, because so far everything that's really been changed or added with multiplayer has been really surface level or like cosmetic sort of changes, and not much that actually affects gameplay. I'm also going to be crossing my fingers hoping for a couple specific specialist adjustments, but at the same time, I'm not going to be holding my breath. We don't really have any hints or suggestions that they'll be adjusting any specialists. So the final thing I wanted to discuss in this video before we wrap this up is League Play. A week or two ago, Treyarch did confirm that League Play is on its way. They've been working hard on it, and they were hoping to have it out by the end of January, which is this week. It looks like they are going to be missing that target because they mentioned that next week we're going to get more information on League Play. To me, that sounds like they're going to be prepping us for the launch of League Play rather than actually launching it next week. So I do expect it to be coming within the next couple of weeks, but probably not next week. And one thing they did mention as well is they've made adjustments to the way the League Play system is working, since they made that announcement that League Play is coming, because with that announcement, they mentioned that they're fundamentally changing League Play, so it was basically going to work where there would only be short periods of time where you would actually work through the ranks, and then all the time aside from that would basically just be scrimmages or public matches with competitive rule sets. This got a ton of backlash when it was first announced, so to me, it seems like they're going to be restructuring that and potentially just completely backpedaling away from that system. In addition to that, they said that there's going to be some important updates to the CWL rule set that will change how the game is played competitively for the better. So I think what this is going to be is they're now going to take a lot of the current gentleman's agreement for competitive play, and they're going to implement that into the CWL rule set. So this would include things like Ajax or Torque or Prophet Seeker Mine. At least this is what I hope they're going to be doing when they say that they're going to be making some changes to the CWL rule set. It really does make sense because with a lot of those things in the game, it's hard to really call it a truly competitive experience. So I guess we'll just have to wait until next week when we're going to be getting all of that new information. And with that pretty much covers it for this video. We've got that big update coming next week that I'm really looking forward to. I'm especially looking forward to multiplayer finally seeing some gameplay balancing coming. I'm interested in seeing what the developers end up changing with this, and I really hope that it changes the game for the better. I'm really curious to know what you guys think though in the comment section below. Do you think this is going to be a really good update? Do you think there's some things that are missing that you wish they would update with this? Just let me know what you're thinking down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time. Yeah.